This is Reuters Deal Zone. I'm Joy Chakravarti. Defense contractor General Dynamics yesterday agreed to buy Axis Technologies in one of the largest deals in the defense space in the past year. Joining us now to talk about that deal and M&A in the defense sector is William Alderman, president of Alderman and Company Capital, a firm that specializes in aerospace and defense M&A. Thank you for being with us today, Bill.
Thank you, Joy.
Bill, let's start with General Dynamics. They bought Axis for $643 million. That's $54 a share, about an 8% premium to Wednesday's close. Good deal for GD?
A good deal for GD. A good market. We'll talk about, Joy, this is C4ISR, which is a buzzword for command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, search and rescue, a critical part of where we're going to be headed as a nation on defense spending, and I think a very intelligent deal for GD.
Okay, now Axis makes surveillance systems. It's a very niche technology. GD, of course, one of the larger primes in the sector. They make ships, business jets. Is this reflective of what you're seeing in the M&A space? Are we going to see more of these deals where larger companies go after these small companies with niche technologies?
Yes, and for two reasons, Joey. Number one is the massive consolidation that took place about a decade and a half ago of the primes to primes, as we used to call it, is pretty much done. The idea of a Boeing and GD getting together is remote. But there's a lot of opportunity for growth, even though defense spending may be flat or declining. And so we're going to see more of the larger players like the GDs buying niche players like the Axis. And I think there's more to come as the markets do what I'll call calming down in our sector.
But it's not really working for many auctions, right? I've heard from sources that several small companies up for sale have just not been getting the prices they want. Hurley Industries had to shut down its auction. DHS Systems didn't really get the price they wanted in final bids. Gyrocam still struggling to be sold. That's all based on sources. What's keeping deals from getting sealed?
Yeah, Joy, there's many pieces to it, but to be concise, it's a combination of the overall economy, the credit markets and their collapse, and also a level of uncertainty in the outlook for defense spending. Although Gates a month and a half ago came out and gave us a very good view of his agenda going forward in the administration's, the real issue is that if you look at the 5-year Dow Jones Aerospace Index, we were at a low of 300 in 2005. We hit 550 in the end of 2007 and dropped to 200 in March of 2009. With that kind of volatility and still being low on the valuation curve, it's hard to get deals done.
Okay, so essentially there's still a big value gap between buyer and seller.
Exactly, Joy.
Now the premium on this GD Axis deal, 8%, much lower than a lot of the premiums we saw last year. What kind of premiums or multiples are you seeing in the space generally as you talk to clients?
Yes, and I'll give you a two-part answer. The 8% premium in this market, actually getting a deal done is good. An 8% premium by historic levels is not good, but in this market I would say hats off to both buyer and seller for a good deal. But if we just go back about a year, Joey, to the Finmeccanica DRS transaction, which I would argue some of the same technologies and strategies at play in both deals, that transaction had a 32% premium. So based on historic precedent, this 8% premium is low to where we used to be. But in terms of multiple, go ahead, sorry, Jimmy.
Just generally in the industry, could you just briefly tell us what kind of multiples you're seeing?
Yes. When the market, what I believe, came to its bottom or near bottom in March of 2009, I think we were at multiples for actually high-quality transactions, less than 6, which I've never seen in my 20 years of my 20-year professional career. I believe now we are approaching a 9 on an EBITDA multiple basis, but if we go back a year or more, we were north of 12. There's been so little activity in the 6s that it was hard to even know where we were. I think we are now in the 9s, approaching the 9s, and we'll stay in the 9s until we get to a stronger market, and we can talk about when that might be, and we might return to the north of 10.
Okay, so and in terms of consolidation, we have the primes buying down. Will we see also lateral consolidation within the suppliers, maybe PE companies looking to exit some investments? What are you hearing out there?
Yes, PEs will look to sell. The PE firms that we work with and that we know that are in the A&D sector have been holding some investments longer than they'd like to because values were not high enough. I think when the market recovers, as it is starting to do, we'll see more of them releasing portfolio companies. I also think we'll see some of them building their portfolios. So I think not just the primes buying down, but I think the entire activity across the board, small to small, mid-sized to small, and large to small, it will all accelerate, I think, over the next 18 months, Joey.
Okay, what about Europeans? Are they looking to get a larger piece of the pie here?
They are. We are still the world's largest defense spender. We are currently spending about $520 billion a year based on the current budget, which I want to highlight is 74% higher than it was in 2001. The European, especially manufacturers and suppliers, know that, and we remain, if not the most important, I think we actually are the most important defense market for the European suppliers, and they're looking to increase their footprint here.
Okay, some names, of course, Thales and EADS have both said that they're looking to make acquisitions in the U.S. Within the U.S., we've had Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman all saying that they're looking to make purchases sometime this year. Now, Robert Gates, the Defense Secretary, announced a major overhaul of the defense budget in April. That goes into effect October 1st, and it scales back spending on costly weapons systems, placing more emphasis on irregular warfare. A lot of these smaller companies will benefit from that. Will that raise their prices, making it even harder to get deals done?
Yes, and Julie, one of the reasons why I think M&A activity is still low is that although Gates gave us some guidance, he'll be putting much more guidance to pen in the 2010 QDR, Quadrennial Defense Review. So I think when that comes out, we'll see an increase. But he did give us guidance, and he specifically said he's going to cut major programs like the F-22 and the FCS, the Future Combat System Vehicle, ground vehicle portion. So he has said a little bit of where we're headed, and clearly robotics and C4ISR unmanned vehicles are clearly a weapon system and an approach to defense that he has said will accelerate. So naturally, players like Axis that have a competitive advantage and niche holdings in those arenas will see their values increase, and the desire of others to buy them will accelerate.
Okay, so essentially you expect to see more consolidation in the defense sector as we get through the remainder of the year, but there still remains a big value gap between buyers and sellers. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that, Bill. That was William Alderman, president of Alderman and Company Capital. This is Reuters Deal Zone. I'm Julie Chakravarti.